everybody, to all our readers, viewers, listeners, whoever is going to face this interview. I'm here. I'm Katherine Muchko, and I'm so happy to have first ever interview. And I'm really, really happy that our first guest is Katherine Sherwood. Hello, Katherine.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you today. So, Katherine Sherwood is the lead product owner at Avantage Entertainment, and we're going to have today like a short interview about how you are experiencing this role and how do you evolve to the lead product owner like you are now, and so on and so forth. So, tell me, please, what kind of path have you gotten through? When you are now lead product owner, when did it start and how did it start, and that you made this step forward?
Yeah, so I started working at a software company in more of a support operations role. And as I got to work with the developers and other product owners, just being involved as a stakeholder, I kind of fell in love with the agile process and the idea of being one of the like cool kids. I don't know if that perception is shared by other people, but I always thought that working on technology was super, super cool. And it turns out that one of the product owners on the products that I was supporting for was transitioning into more of a project or product manager role. So he asked if I would be interested in training for a product owner role. And of course, I said yes. So it did actually involve me relocating like across the country to train and be in person. But after that, I was able to kind of get my footing. I transferred a couple times to different companies, just trying to get more experience with different sectors of software, and ultimately landed at Avantage, which by the time I was there, I had several years of experience. So I was able to kind of prove my mettle and get promoted to the lead product owner role.
Cool, cool. That's great. I can remember several years ago, at least in Ukraine, it has happened. So when all product managers or business analysts were renamed to product owners, and all project managers or some other special were renamed to Scrum Masters, just to be cool, just to be modern, just to be agile. Nothing has changed except for the naming of these roles. Have you ever faced this?
Yeah, it's I think there's a lot with Agile that focuses on buzzwords for certain companies. They don't necessarily adopt the culture or the lifestyle of Agile and just kind of want to use the name or the buzzwords to attract talent. Unfortunately, once they get to the company, they realize that it's not really Agile and they end up leaving. But yeah, I think there's a lot of focus on names and words of things and not enough focus on actual implementation or embracing the methodology or philosophy of Agile.
Yeah, cool. I know how agile you are. So, speaking on that purpose, how cool agile product owner might look like? What it distinguishes from other just not agile product owners?
Yeah, I think there's a lot you have to embrace about learning from others, trusting your team, and the willingness to fail and learn from those failings. I think there's definitely a certain personality that enables someone to be a successful agile product owner that not necessarily everyone has, but I believe that everyone can learn. But it does require you being really vulnerable that some people aren't really comfortable with. So I think as long as you go into the situation with your Scrum teams, respecting them, their opinions, and realizing that you're not going to be perfect all of the time, and that the way you learn and get better with your team is through embracing failure and learning from it, is the best way to become a really good product owner.
Cool, cool. I really enjoy how much you're team oriented. We're working as well on that level. And speaking except for the agile mindset challenges, what other challenges are pretty typical nowadays for product owners?
Leadership can be a really big challenge. Like I said before, Agile can be kind of buzzwordy, and not a lot of leadership really embraces what all is needed to implement Agile because it does require a lot of trust in your, I guess, lesser team members from their opinion. And some leaders aren't really comfortable with that. They really want to micromanage, they want to get in there. And I think a lot about Agile is trusting your developers, not only to choose the appropriate implementation, but also talk about their work capacity, and the effort that certain stories require. That does require a level of trust from leadership that I don't think a lot of companies, or maybe not a lot of companies, but not all companies really embrace.
Mhm. We are usually speaking about when we're working on the leadership level, we are speaking about Scrum Masters skill on coaching the leadership to the specific level of understanding of Agile, let's say. So, does it happen with product owners too, that product owners may be the coaches to this Agile philosophy?
It can definitely turn out that way. I think Scrum Masters, they definitely are superheroes in my book, just because of not only the pressure that they face from leadership and but also the team. So when it comes to product owners, they're really the kind of filter for the business's voice to the teams, and in a lot of ways, they end up sheltering or protecting the scrub teams from the kind of craziness that happens elsewhere in the business. So I think that they end up being team representatives to leadership, especially when it comes to managing timelines and expectations and scope. There's a lot of compromise that needs to happen between product owners and leadership that I think
Mhm.
definitely represents what's going on.
Yeah, I have never been to that part, to that side. I mean, being as a product owner, because I was always as a Scrum Master, and I have never seen this from that perspective. It's interesting so much. Thank you for showing this up. So, speaking on Scrum Guide, when I was preparing to our conversation, I realized that by default, product owner and scrum masters are the roles that are by their nature pretty opposite, so that means that the chance or the possibility of self contradictions is possible by default. I mean, not because people want to, but just because it happens based on the nature of these roles. So from product owner point of view, what kind of pieces of advice could you give to scrum masters to overcome these contradictions, let's say?
Yeah, I think some of those contradictions are healthy. I really believe in a healthy tension between all of the kind of different roles of Agile. So there should be a health, and I do say healthy tension. I don't think we should be getting into arguments all the time. But I think that's how we get better. And I think that's how we make good compromises, is that Scrum Masters do have other responsibilities that they have to think of when, product owners can be kind of lofty and their ambitions or something. So Scrum Masters need to make sure that they are representing the team's capabilities well, and that might headbutt with the product owners once. But ultimately, because of that healthy tension, it keeps everyone in check. I think developers, um, you know, they really want to focus on innovation and tech debt and maybe data security, or more cutting edge technologies. They want to work on cool things, and so that really helps product owners when they're thinking about converting business initiatives into actual work items for the Scrum teams, being able to trust each other when you go into refinements and know that developers are going to have some initiatives that are different than the product owner's initiatives, and the Scrum Master is going to have some other initiatives that are different. Basically, making sure that that tension represents a good relationship so that when we make compromises, they're kind of working towards everyone's strengths. I think when it becomes unhealthy, when you're arguing all of the time, there's definitely a line that you can cross there. But I do believe that that kind of healthy tension makes everybody better in the end.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Cool. Interesting so much. Thank you. So, speaking on the future, what kind of trends do you observe at product ownering, in general, that you may assume that might develop in something interesting into the future?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with AI in the agile process, especially when it comes to kind of the non-developer positions with product owners or even product managers. I think AI is definitely one of those buzzwords that leadership will like to focus on in the
Yeah.
future, but I do actually think that it has some merit with the agile process, especially as we try to focus more on behaviors when either we're trying to figure out scope or even when we're testing. I think AI has a lot of potential to kind of bring Agile to the next level in
Mhm.
terms of that.
Are you using any kind of agile tools on your everyday work now?
I do use Jira every day. I use Confluence every day. As far as AI goes, sometimes I do have conversations with ChatGPT, just trying to
Mhm.
figure out, like if I were expecting a certain behavior that, AI kind of follows that and tests my scope and stuff like that. So I do leverage that a little bit. And I think we've used a couple different software boards for refinements and retros and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thanks a lot. So I still have two more questions. The first one is about your likes and dislikes of this position. So let's start with this one.
Yeah, so my major like of this position, other than that, I feel a certain sense of fulfillment doing something I enjoy. Agile's helped a lot in my personal life,
Mhm.
just managing personal projects that I have. This kind of lifestyle or mindset of embracing failure and learning from it, I think, has a lot of impact just on your day-to-day life outside of your job. As you pick up new hobbies or you want to learn something, being able to kind of embrace those philosophies really helps you in that regard. So that's something that I really like. I also really like the team kind of bonding aspect of it. I love thinking of my Scrum teams as kind of like mini families that are learning and growing together and really get kind of a strong bonds and there's a lot of trust there. So I really enjoy that aspect. Some aspects I don't enjoy. Um, there there's a lot of I think filtering for the business that I don't super enjoy, just because at the leadership level it is kind of uncommon for them to be well versed in agile. So when you're representing your team to leadership or representing your product to leadership, there can be some uncomfortable conversations about compromise when it comes to scope and delivery timelines and stuff. I've really tried to embrace being truthful rather than delivering good news. I would much rather tell someone something that is true that might make them upset rather than tell them a lie that doesn't end up,
Mhm.
actually coming to fruition. You see that a lot with delivery timelines and just trying to
Yeah.
come up with product roadmaps and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. It's so amazing how all your values are um, matching the agile ones, the agile principles. I mean, they are matching to each other in such a great way. Like, I'm just amazed. I have never faced some product owners that are so oriented to the teams, that are so valuing agile principles and all the stuff. So that's really great. Thank you so much. And probably the
Thank
last
you.
question for now would be, let's imagine that we have got some kind of junior product owner or business analyst who plan to move to product ownering career. What kind of tips would you give to the beginners on this path?
Um, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think my first ever refinement that I ever did as a product owner, it was very difficult because I had never been to a situation where I was expected not to be perfect. So when I came to that refinement, I had my stories and I worked so hard on them, and then the Scrum team just completely, in my mind, picked them apart, and I was so upset, but I didn't realize that that was supposed to happen. That them asking questions, them calling out issues is supposed to be a normal part of refinement. It has nothing to do with your user story not being perfect. There's no such thing as perfect in Agile. And that was my first hard lesson. So I would say to anybody that is starting out is to trust your team, be vulnerable with them, ask questions, and they will ask you questions, and you all will learn together and grow together. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, and actually speaking, I would think that if a product owner could show their vulnerability, that would improve on the trust level with the team, just because the
Yes.
team would see that, okay, this is not like some kind of a perfect person who
Right.
we should just follow and ask no more questions, do whatever they say to, but we can communicate and make a dialogue and make it better altogether.
Exactly.